When I started writing my web novel, I didn't consider the implications of my protagonist, Harriet, being mixed race with brown skin in a primarily white medieval setting, at least not consciously. Harriet's peers do not like her. Her family, minus her dad, does not like her. Her fiancé does not like her. It wasn't until I wrote Harriet overhearing him talking smack about her, and I blanked trying to figure out what slur he would call her, that I realized what I was writing. But the real blow was when I imagined Harriet speaking to the Queen, and the Queen was just caked in white makeup. The sheer cringe of that scene caused me to pause and reevaluate. My story, while inspired by the real world, takes place in a fantasy setting. It doesn't need to carry the baggage of our world. But realistically, people are gonna people. The world I grew up in will inevitably shape the world I create. But I've never experienced explicit racism outside of media and the internet. Most of my experiences with racism are with the insidious kind, systemic and internalized, not explicit racism. So why does my subconscious keep trying to include it? The simple answer is I feel like I need to justify Harriet not being white. To do that, to make it as obvious as possible, I keep trying to include Black stereotypes, like how being Black equals struggle, explicit racism, anything to avoid people thinking Harriet isn't Black enough or that she's only mixed for the sake of performative diversity. And it's not just in my story. Even the cover isn't safe from this. Despite preferring covers that don't include characters on them, I seem very fixated on showing Harriet, almost paranoid. I want to make it extremely clear before anyone even reads my story that she is a person of color, not white. And as someone who doesn't socialize and is online more, I blame the internet. People's reactions online can be scary. Whether it's the backlash over including a person of color or people policing if you're depicting diversity the right way, it can be quite loud and unrelenting. And I'm just gonna say it. I am insecure about my writing and racial identity. See, I grew up in a middle-class family with a third-generation Italian-American dad and a first-generation Haitian immigrant mom. For most of my childhood, I didn't see race. I'm brown like my mom, my second brother is white like my dad, and my oldest brother is Black. And I did not realize until like 6th or 7th grade, he's actually my half-brother from my mom's previous relationship. I grew up in New Jersey, in one of the most diverse areas. We had everyone. It wasn't until high school that my world shrunk. I was primarily interacting with Black and some Hispanic peers, and most of my teachers were white. And because I prefer staying at home and reading, I don't socialize much, and it takes me a long time to warm up to people. But after seeing the same faces for 4 years, I became comfortable enough to really start interacting with others, and as a result, I became very aware of my race. Back then, I didn't understand that there wasn't only one way to be something. I thought I had to be Black because my skin color is too dark to pass as white, and being both just wasn't an option. And I felt like a fraud. It's ridiculous, but there was a period where I started to feel like I was Hispanic because I look it and people treated me like I was. So maybe I am. I'm not, genetically or culturally. Ironically, my second brother who can pass as white and my white dad have also been mistaken as Hispanic. And thankfully, I eventually realized I was just being dumb. One of my favorite moments in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is from the episode Blood is Thicker Than Mud, where Carlton and Will try to join a fraternity, and Carlton gets rejected for, well, he's called a sellout, but it's clear it's because he's not Black enough. There's actually a clip on YouTube that I'll link in my description of the scene, but basically, Carlton explains that being Black isn't what he's trying to be, it's what he is. Eventually, I realized it doesn't matter how people see me, I'm still what I am. Unfortunately, while race is a social construct that categorizes people based on their physical characteristics, ethnicity is not. It's based on a person's cultural heritage and community. I feel embarrassed to call myself Haitian. I do not feel like I belong when I see a Haitian in the wild. I don't know the language, the culture, the traditions, and yet I don't feel embarrassed to call myself Italian. What's that about? Where I feel like I need to qualify to be Haitian, I don't hold being Italian to the same standard. I don't know the language, the culture, or the traditions of Italy. I have never visited or even know what part of Italy my dad's grandparents originated from, but I have visited Haiti twice during my childhood. I know more about Haiti. Heck, I know more about China and Japan than I do about Italy, but somehow I don't feel embarrassed identifying as Italian. And I realized, once again, I feel this need to justify my Blackness, but not my whiteness, because I do associate being Italian with being white, which I apparently view as a generic standard blandness. It's the default, so there's no need to earn it or qualify as it, and I believe this is the thought that keeps seeping into my story. But what is it I actually want to write? I don't want to ignore racism, but I don't want to focus on it either. I don't want to write Harriet like she's self-conscious about her ethnicity. That's too raw for me right now. I own 2 books that could possibly help, but I just don't feel like reading them right now. Instead, I eventually came up with the background that the country my character lives in is isolated from the outside world due to a magical barrier created by the royal family. And this country is mostly white. However, when the barrier was erected, there was a group of refugees passing through, trying to get to the neighboring country that just got trapped inside. So we have this group of black people stuck in this country full of white people with these completely different cultures. And let's just say there were growing pains. And so over 150 years pass. And because I don't want to deal with the racism, I was like, no, let's just Bridgerton this, So I came up with the idea that, okay, the North is racist because there's like barely any black people there. However, the capital is better because more intermarrying there. There's more mixed race people there. Everyone's more familiar. There's less ignorant. And I have a bit of an agenda. See, it's been great seeing myself on TV, this mixed race, curly hair, brown skin girl, but not everyone who's mixed race has brown skin, like my second brother. I want more mixed race representation that doesn't look like me. When I realized the queen was black or mixed, making her son Monty mix with white skin, I got excited. I don't know if this will actually appear in my story, but I love the idea of Monty being conflicted and questioning his identity because he can pass as white, but unlike his mom who can't pass, he's the one who inherited black magic. I even created a black friend character for Harriet, who's married to a white man and has 2 kids, 1 brown girl, 1 white boy, and the sheer joy and satisfaction I felt creating them. This is apparently what I've always wanted to write. But now I'm at an impasse. In my story, I have the opportunity to have Harriet find her community, connect to her culture and mom's family. But I question if this is a natural progression of her story or just me, once again, trying to justify her non-whiteness. This is further complicated because I don't want to write this. This isn't what my story is about, but I'm worried I might be stifling Harriet because of my baggage leaking in. I mentioned earlier I don't feel a connection when I meet a Haitian in the wild. And maybe this is just colorism, but I don't see myself. The only Haitians I've met that look like me are my mom's family. And even in my mom's family, there's an othering because I don't speak the language. So many family events, me and my dad were left not understanding what anyone was saying because they would not stop speaking Haitian Creole, even though they knew we didn't speak it. Maybe what I'm about to say next is just me trying to justify not writing Harriet reaching out to her community, but Harriet's story isn't about race or ethnicity. It's there, but to her, the people in this world, there's a disconnect she feels towards them. She longs for her past life, a world she barely remembers outside of glimpses, not her people. And I imagine a scene where Monty is telling her about their culture and she's just not feeling it on a personal level. Because unlike Monty, she didn't grow up experiencing that connection. But I do question, is it that she's not feeling it or I'm not feeling it? And does it matter? Harriet understands what race is in a way that, say, someone who has no experience with race but was born brown skinned surrounded by white people wouldn't have. So she doesn't see it as important. For her, she just doesn't like her life because her family situation is so complicated. She is longing for connection and she found it glimpsing into her past life, and she longs to go back to that time before she became Harriet. And I think that while I was trying to world build and make everything make sense, I lost this perspective about her. It's not something that she is dealing with so much during the story. It's more something she deals with before. And I think that was one reason why her platonic relationship with Monty is so important to her, because he gave her connection outside of her past life. He gave her something to hold on to. And she's just so lonely. And I can go on about how living in a fantasy world closes you off from connecting with others, that it's not enough for Harriet to have a blood connection. She doesn't know her mom or that side of her family. She isn't longing for them. Her life experiences are disconnected from theirs. They feel foreign to her. So her seeking them out and forming a relationship with them, this isn't that kind of story. This is a story about Harriet who longs for a life she can't have. She can't truly experience it outside of glimpses. So she idolizes it. And it's about her having to make a choice to seal the magic that allows her to experience that life, to see be that life or die. And even when she makes that choice, the longing remains. And this is a story about her trying to keep the few people important to her alive. This is what I want to write, not what I think I should write, though who knows how much of this will actually show up in the final draft of my story. But how are you handling race in your story? Anyone else overthinking or feeling like you need to justify representation? Any advice? It's funny, the more I work on this video, on this channel, the more I question my implicit biases, and it's become clear to me that I am afraid. I would rather choose plausible deniability over standing on my convictions because I want to avoid conflict, avoid having to justify myself. I have a lot of work to do. And I realized race, ethnicity, it's all just noise, a distraction. The truth is, I miss my mom. Being Haitian is a connection to her, and I regret missing out on talking to her more. I wish I had learned Haitian Creole growing up because the only person I want to speak it to, I can't anymore, and it hurts. And I am not ready to face this truth. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like if you liked the video and subscribe if you want to see more. Bye!